Hello, and welcome to this edition, freshly off of vacation, episode of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. I think we had some stuff go on this weekend. I was in a place where it was Saturday was popping. I think it was Friday and Saturday with what was all the news going on and trades and nothing really blockbuster, but interesting. Still interesting trades. A lot of people questioning things. So it was pretty cool. And I know, Dad, we talked one night while I was at the WNBA game. I was like, I was at the game, and you said you were very happy with some of the trades and wanted to really get into it today. So what you got for us?
Well, there's a few things I want to discuss for you. We talked about the trades. I think, one of the big stories this week, Ryan Sandberg passed away.
Yes.
And, of course, he was a special dude, not only a baseball player, but a very special person. He has his own statue outside of Wrigley Field.
So I was at the White Sox Phillies game. He managed the Phillies for a little bit. So they had a tribute for him at that game.
Well, he was drafted by the Phillies.
Right.
And then they traded him to the Cubs, and probably regretted it. But he was an all-star several years. He had several Gold Gloves, several Silver Sluggers. He was, of course, in the Hall of Fame in the 2005 class. So he's going to be missed. And he passed away with complications from prostate cancer. They'd gotten rid of it once, and it came back. And of course, that's what I had. So, and I get a check next month. So we'll find out. But anyway, that was one of the things. The other thing, Mike Trout. He's actually had a halfway decent season. He joined the 1,000 RBI club this past week, and. Also, this isn't good for baseball. Emmanuel Clase, the closer for Cleveland, was given a paid leave while they investigate gambling. He's the second Cleveland pitcher to have this happen. The other one is Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz, he's already been out 2 months. So they're both out there. Bryce Harper cussed out the commissioner when they had a meeting about.
Well, he told him to get out of the locker room.
Well, he cussed him out because of the salary cap.
Because he's in there trying to push it.
And he cussed him out because of that. And anyway, that was another thing that they made a big deal out of this week. And let's see what else I got. Ronald Acuna went back on the IR with his Achilles, and today Austin Riley went back on with an abdominal strain. He dove to make a tag in the game yesterday at the Speedway where they had 95,000 people, and he messed his stomach up. And then I think that's about it. And then most everything else this week was the trades. And the first thing I'm wearing my Washington hat, even though watching them, they played Milwaukee this week this weekend in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Washington. And Milwaukee scored 38 runs in the 3 games. 38 runs. And I was just sitting there watching some of it, and I'm going, this is amazing. I mean, these guys from Milwaukee can hit a baseball. But anyway, the Nationals, I'll get them out of the way. They traded 6 players. They traded Kyle Finnegan, the reliever, to Detroit, outfielder Alex Call, a 30-year-old, to the Dodgers, and right-handed pitcher Luis Garcia and left-handed pitcher Andrew Chafin, both of them relievers, to the Angels. Right-handed pitcher starter Michael Soroka to the Cubs, and third base slash utility Ahmad Rosario to the Yankees. So they got a bunch of prospects back, but only one that could have been regarded like in the top 10.
Right.
So they've got a bunch of guys, younger guys, that they're hoping can come along. The other thing, Boston, Tanner Houck, one of their pitchers, is going to go out. He's going to have Tommy John surgery. He was trying to come back, and he has to have Tommy John surgery. And on Sunday, all the Cubs players wore number 23 for Ryne Sandberg, honor Ryne Sandberg. Milwaukee. They've been playing well, but they had some bad news. Jacob Misiorowski went on the IL. He has a left tibia contusion. He got hit a line drive in a bruise. He's got a bone bruise. That's about all the news I've got. Everything else was, I have got about 50,000 trades here. They were trading people left and right. And of course, I mentioned a lot of them, but the Yankees also picked up outfielder Austin Slater.
So I wanted to talk about that because after going we went Tuesday night to the White Sox game. We didn't see Luis Robert come out till right when it was time, when everybody was right before the game to loosen up. And we're like, well, I guess he's not getting traded because he's starting and now he's on the field tonight because we were waiting to see. But after seeing that other outfielder play, and I was like, and he hit some shots and he hit a home run the night before, I understood why he wanted him. I thought, and from my understanding, the White Sox was all asking for a small fortune for Luis Robert, and I don't understand. He's not having a good season. I don't understand. You got to get what you get at this point with him.
Well, some of the what you would call the bigger names didn't go because of the asking price.
Right.
And,
that's. I'm going to tell you right now, they're either going to have to do the salary cap. I think because we talked about it where I was at. Because first off, it'll help the whole league. It'll lift up the whole league and not just the top few players.
Right.
Because if you look at who's making this, it's only a small group that's in the 100 million, and they're not talking about lowering it so much where you can't have top-notch player anymore get paid. They just need it so they can set a hard floor, because a lot of these places and people, you have teams that are just not trying to do anything. You have the Pirates. They just I know I talk about them a lot, but you have other teams in the league. The A's look like they're trying to at least do something, but they can't compete. They can't. The Miami Marlins can't. They're competing on the field right now. They're playing well, but in the marketplace they can't compete.
Well, the Marlins, they sold out all 3 games against the Yankees and then swept them, and then they also they hung on to their young pitching because they wanted to because they've got a pretty good club.
They're one game yesterday.
They're 500. They're at 500.
Before yesterday's game, they were 1 game behind. I've been traveling for the last day and a half.
Since July 4th, the 2 teams with the best record in baseball are the Milwaukee Brewers and the Miami Marlins.
Right.
They were the top 2 teams. And the White Sox have a winning record since mid-July. It's only a game or 2 over 500, but they've been playing decent ball. I'm just going to group them now because there's no need in talking about. I was writing down who got what they got.
No, I know you were excited.
But what they traded, these teams traded, they gave up prospects. So the teams that they got prospects. But I want to talk about what I've been saying for the last 3 or 4 years. The most important part of a team is the bullpen.
Right.
So bullpen strengthening was a big priority with a lot of these teams. The Yankees, the Mets, And the Phillies, and the Phillies got Duran, that kid from the Minnesota Twins, and he struck out whoever it was for Detroit last night for the last.
I don't know. I don't think I ever saw his entrance in Minnesota, but I saw his entrance the other night in Philadelphia, and I was like, "This is pretty cool."
He's 103. He started out with 100.
Well, I just thought the way that he entered the field.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was a big deal. But out of all of them, out of all the teams that I felt improved the most, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Yankees all really improved their bullpens. Some other teams picked up a couple of pieces for their bullpen, like Detroit and that. But the two teams that I think improved the most, this is just my opinion, are the Seattle Mariners, who got Naylor from earlier, and then they picked up the Suarez, the third baseman, who's hit 30-some home runs. So now they've got some power in their lineup. Rodriguez, he's the first, I think, in Major League history for 5 years in a row to join a 2020 club or something. But now they got some hitting to go along with their pitching and defense. So look out for Seattle, because Houston's in free fall. And Texas is playing better, but they're not playing great. Now, the other team, and this team might win it all, San Diego. San Diego already had the best bullpen in the game. Then they go out and they get the Miller kid from the A's, who was regarded as probably the best closer in the game. They get him. They already had a closer. The Yankees went out and got two closers to add to their closer. The Mets got two closers now. So these bullpens for the postseason are starting to stack up. And I think San Diego, with their additions in the bullpen, they're going to be they might catch the Dodgers. The Dodgers are really having trouble kind of hitting the ball here lately. But anyway, the Mets, they got Ryan Helsley, the great closer from the St. Louis Cardinals, so that's going to help them. Let's see. The Cubs, they got Soroka, yep. And Toronto, now this was odd. They traded for Shane Bieber, and he's hurt. He's coming back from Tommy John, but they're hoping he'll be ready by the end of September, early October. That he might help them when they get into the playoffs. So if that works, that'll be a brilliant move.
Right.
And they also picked up some help at in their bullpen. The Red Sox got Dustin May, the starting pitcher from the Dodgers, who was having a so-so season with the Dodgers. The Rays picked up right-handed pitcher Griffin Jax from Minnesota. And here's something that helps. The Mets, they picked up another trade right near the end of the deadline. This is going to help them. They got Cedric Mullins from the Orioles. And
I just don't know, because he hit – to me, they switched from right-handed to a left-hander that hits.
Yeah, but he hits better than the center fielder they had.
Tyrone Taylor, that dude can play some center field.
And he's got a little bit better power.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
He's got a little bit better power.
It wasn't much, because I was like, I'm glad we got to pitch it, and it's like, it really helped, but I was hoping we would get a bat.
Yeah, well, the Orioles kept Holiday, they kept Gunnar, and Adley Rutschman. They kept their three guys they want to build around, but they traded away Lariano. They traded away Charlie Morton, who at the beginning of the year looked like he was throwing batting practice. The last 4 or 5 games, he's had an earned run average under 3, and they traded him to the Tigers. He pitched against Philadelphia last night, and they only lost 2-0. He gave up 1 run in 6 innings. But Detroit has the same problem every team in the American League Central has. They cannot score.
Right.
And when they get to the playoffs, it's going to kill them. Every team in that division, they have a hard time scoring. one of the closers that the Yankees picked up was David Bednar from the Pirates. Of course, Texas picked up Merrill Kelly from the Arizona. They picked him up from Arizona to help with their starting rotation. And was it Texas also? The pitcher that went to Arizona and then he got hurt. They gave the big contract to. He went to somebody as a throw-in. I thought I had it written down, but I must not.
Colin Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery. Yeah, and I don't know who it was, but he was like a throw-in. Carlos Correa left Minnesota. Minnesota got rid of 9 players. Carlos Correa went back to Houston, but I don't think that's going to help Houston enough. Houston's got too many injuries, especially to their pitchers. The Orioles also traded first baseman designated hitter Ryan O'Hearn along with outfielder Ramon Laureano for 6 prospects to the San Diego Padres. I don't know where some of these teams are coming up with minor leaguers to trade. They traded so much in the last few years.
Well, I mean, because what I do is I listen to where they're listed in their prospect list, and if they're not a top 10 prospect, it's a hope. Because only the top 10 prospects are worth it. Some teams they only got 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But
well, see, the other thing,
generally speaking, top 10. Some teams got 20. But
another thing that hurts Texas is even Carter went back on the IL with back spasms. He's been on and off the IL all year, and the Rays lost Jonathan Aranda, the first baseman. He got hit on the wrist the other night and had a fractured wrist, so he's going to be out for 6 weeks or so.
And that's got to hurt.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and that really hurts. These teams that are trying to make a push now, to lose somebody of that magnitude is devastating. And Tampa hadn't been playing well anyway, even though they've got all these sellouts. Let's see. That's pretty much it for some of the. Mike Yastrzemski also got traded by San Francisco to Kansas City, the right fielder. In the standings, in the American League, Toronto leads Boston by 3 games and the Yankees by 4.5. If the Yankees don't get Aaron Judge back pretty soon, they might not make the playoffs. 2 years now, when he's out of the lineup, they stink. I'm sorry. They can't play without him.
And then when he doesn't produce in the playoffs, they stink.
Yeah, I mean, Well, they brought in these relievers, but if you can't score and you strike out, every other guy striking out, you're in trouble. The Yankees are 4.5 back. In the Central, Detroit, they've got an 8-game. They lost 5 or 6 games in a row, and now they're winning again until they went to Philly and lost 2 out of 3. But they have an 8-game lead on Cleveland because Cleveland's not doing that great either. In Houston, there's a Quan, the outfielder. They were going to trade him. The Dodgers wanted him, but they said they were just asking for too much. So that's another reason they didn't trade him. Houston has a 2.5-game lead on Seattle and 4.5 on Texas, and I don't think Seattle's going to stay back behind Houston very long. I'm looking at Seattle now with their big problem was they had plenty of pitching, but they had no offense. Now they've got 2 boppers in there, so let's see what they do. I will not call them the Chargers for a little while longer. I'm going to go a little while, and then they're going to disappoint me again, and then I'm going to get upset. Of course, I won't be able to. If the real Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, with Harbaugh as a coach, does anything at all, then I can't use that as a nickname for him anymore either. Right. But anyway, in the National League, the Phillies have a 1/2-game lead on the Mets, and they're going to be neck and neck all year, the rest of the year, I think, with both their bullpens being improved in that. But I'm going to tell you, if the Phillies play San Diego in a playoff, one of the playoff series, I'm going to watch every game because that's going to be something. Miami is back 7.5, so they're in 3rd place, 7.5 back. the Nationals in
Do you know how
Atlanta.
many games are out of the last playoff spot? By any chance?
Oh yeah, they're right there.
Yeah, that's what I think. They're not too far out of the
No,
last.
they're like 2.5 games out.
Right,
And them and the Reds, both those teams are
right.
in
Big
there.
teams.
Now I watched that Reds game yesterday at the Bristol Speedway, and uh, Terry Francona was talking before the game, and he said they have to manufacture runs because they don't have much power. They
No,
they live in a they're in a ballpark where it's a bandbox. It's like Philadelphia, where home runs fly out of there, and they don't hit home runs. So that's one of the problems they have. In the National League, like I said, the Cubs and Milwaukee. Milwaukee's up by 2 games on the Cubs now. The Dodgers are up 3 games on the Padres, but I don't know. I think the Padres might catch them. In the American League wild card, Boston is up about a game and a half over. They're up a game and a half over the Yankees, and then Seattle and Texas. Seattle's 2 games back, and Texas is 4.5 games back. In the National League, the Cubs and the Mets. There's a half game between Cubs and the Mets. Another game and a half to the Pods, and another 2.5 games back to the Reds and the Marlins. And I'm going to tell you, I'm finding myself rooting for the Marlins. Last year, the Marlins traded what's his name, Rogers, the pitcher, to Baltimore, and they got this kid. And last year, when he went to the Marlins, he didn't do anything. We wound up back in AAA. Well, this year, he is hitting home runs, RBIs, and everything. I can't remember his name, but he's left-handed batter, blonde kid. I mean, he was outstanding. So both teams made it out in that trade. I mean, I could have covered more of who people, but they didn't trade player for player. They traded player for hopefuls, prospects. It was prospects. So the main people we talked about being traded, they were all traded for different prospects.
Well, that's what that goes back to these teams that can't compete in the financial arena. They're trying to get prospects. If one of them sticks, then that's their next player for 4 years until they trade him for prospects.
Right. I mean,
they just can't give multiple $100 million contracts. The Pirates have one in Brian Reynolds. They did it, but now what are they going to do with Skeens? I already heard that. I thought where I was at, people were looking for him to be traded already. So if that happens, if you can't keep players for long term, I
think they got Skeens for 2 more years.
Yeah, but if you trade him, you want to trade him while he's hot, not when he's hurt.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you got him for 2 more years, and he doesn't get hurt. He's going to be even hotter.
Yeah, but you're not going to trade him they're going to trade him next year.
But
so that way they'll get a pick.
If I was the Tigers, I'd offer Skubal right now. I would pay him the big bucks right now and build my team around him. If I were the Pirates, I'd pay Skeens the big bucks right now. Now.
They're going to want 10 years. They're going to want 10, 12-year contracts.
Fine, but try to do it. At least try to sew up one guy, one person that can help draw fans. Because if not, Skeens is going to wind up a Yankee, and Skubal will wind up a Met or a Dodger.
So we're 2 years from the CBA. It's not going.
They got one. They got the rest of this season and next year, and then in February of 26.
It doesn't look good.
Yeah, and they're almost sure to be a stoppage. Because that's the other thing Harper told. That's another thing Harper, when he was yelling at the commissioner, that's what he told him. He said, "We'll sit out the whole year. If you try to put the salary cap on, we'll sit out the whole year." That's easy for him to say. He's got a $300 million contract. He's money in the bank. These guys sitting at the end of the bench, Joe Phillips.
So you got to listen to what if they offer that, they're going to probably offer something really good to even it out. So not only are they'll offer that, but it's going to these guys at the top. They got to worry about the guys at the bottom, like you're saying. They're the ones that are going to make out. Those guys at the top are still going to make their money. They're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars.
If they got any sense at all, they banked enough money. If they have any sense at all, they banked enough money that they'll live the rest of their life with no problem.
Well, they have it in every other basketball. Those guys are not hurting. Football, those guys are not hurting. They got same thing. Hockey's the only one that's got a really tight.
They can't. Hockey cannot pay what.
Right, they just don't have They don't have TV contracts.
Right, they just and then they don't have the big TV contract. They draw well. They draw
people
well.
People who love hockey love hockey.
They have the local TV, but they don't have the big TV contracts with big networks. What's hurting the baseball? Somebody asked me the other day when I was walking in the mall. We solve a lot of problems walking in the mall. And he asked me. He said, "How is it if they have the same thing in baseball that they have in the other sports, where they have the equal pay when the TV contracts come in? There's equal pay." I said, "Well, you're talking about the national contracts, ESPN, Fox, whatever,
not the home."
But the Yankees home television network that does their games, and the Dodgers are millions
well, and also the Yankees
millions more than what the Nationals have or the Orioles have with Masson.
Right.
They're millions more.
On that one too.
And Masson's actually not bad, but they can't match what the Yankees have or what the Dodgers have, or maybe what the Mets have. They can't. There's a lot more money coming in from that, and then there's other things like licensing and things like that they make their money. And then some of them, the owners just like to splash the money around, and those owners, the owners of the big teams, are the richest owners. So, there's a lot of different ways that they can figure out a way to divvy the money up. The only thing about baseball that's a counter argument to that is that in the last few years, there hadn't been a repeat winner since 2009.
Yeah, but you haven't repeat losers. Like you're having the same bottom.
But your bottom, well, son, even in the National Football League, where they have a hard salary cap, your bottom teams are still your bottom teams.
Yeah, but they have a bottom cap, so they
have a bottom cap, and usually there's 3 or 4 teams at the bottom that go to the top the next year because of easier scheduling.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. I tend to the organizations in football that are bad is because of front office.
Yeah, like the Cardinals.
Not because of not spending money.
Yeah,
they just don't know how to spend their money. That's a different issue altogether. The Dolphins, some of these organizations have made some crazy things. And, we're talking baseball, so we can stay out of that.
Well, baseball, the NBA, they both, they have cities that don't have the finances that the big teams have, so they're stuck. Yes, like I said last week, Pittsburgh can spend more money. The A's can spend more money. These teams like that can spend more money. The Nationals can spend more money, but they can't spend the money that some of the big teams can.
Right. And that reality, when you put it that way, that reality is why, if I can't win the World Series, if I can't spend $100 million, why do I need to spend $85 million? Right.
If I can't win the World Series, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to come out ahead somehow. So if I can't win the World Series, I'm taking in the money and keeping it.
Right.
I'm going to get wealthy and take it. And, my great grandchildren will never have to work. If I can't win the World Series, there's no point in throwing good money after bad.
Right.
The Washington Nationals, Alfred Harper, a decent contract, but he took more money with Philly.
Yeah.
They were going to offer 300 and some million to Soto, and Soto said, "No, I'm going to go out on the free market because Boras is my agent, and I'm going out on the free market and get more money." So they traded him to get something.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's it totally.
I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I did see my Nationals win a World Championship in 2019. I did see that. So that I can't erase. They can't take that from me. They can't erase that. Just like the Caps, I saw them win in 2018. So, yeah, 2018 or 20. I can't remember what. I saw them win the championship. So those are, I can't. They can't take that away from me.
And way back in the 80s, you saw your Redskins win.
Oh yeah, I saw the old Redskins win 3 Super Bowls. And see, there's another thing too, is that I've had people tell me. I had a good friend of mine who's a Steelers fan was talking about how many Super Bowls the Steelers won, and I said, "Well, they haven't gotten as many championships as Green Bay. Green Bay's got about 12." And he said, "Well, no, it only counts with the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
And I said, "Wait. So you're trying to tell me that because the 27 Yankees didn't have to play through the playoffs, divisional playoffs and everything, and they didn't have everything broken down in divisions. There was only 2 leagues and 1 playoff, the World Series. The 27 Yankees championship doesn't count." That's what you're telling me. Because if it doesn't count in football, it doesn't count in any other sport. I mean, I said, that's ridiculous. A championship's a championship.
Yeah. Well, Dan, what you got to end this with today? I am. I did when I put this. I did go to a game. I went to a stadium I've never been to. White Sox, beautiful stadium, nice people. I did pick up a cool old school '90s, early '90s Chicago White Sox hat, the old Frank Thomas style. I was happy to get that. Beautiful stadium. Enjoyed it. Got to see some balls. Schwarber hit a rocket. Sosa hit a rocket for the White Sox. So interesting stadium, really nice stadium. They put on a good game.
There you go. Well, I'm glad. Well, my yogiism for the week is last week I talked about how he went to the movies and critique a movie, and they asked him if he was frightened by the movie, and he said only the scary parts. Well, this week his wife, for their anniversary, had him take her to the opera. Can you imagine the yogi at the opera? I mean, just the thought of that. Right. But anyway, he went to the opera with her to see Tosca. And he came back home from the Metropolitan Opera. And, of course, some people asked him, well, what did you think of it? And he said, well, it wasn't bad. I even liked the music. So that's Yogi. Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for watching. Sorry this has got out a little late. And this Monday, I was out of town and got back in today and recorded this. So enjoy the games. We'll see what happens from here on out. And just watch them and enjoy. Until next time, like, share, tell friends, subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, see ya.